The young woman threw her arms against the rock behind her and could almost feel it tremble. She lifted her hand to shield her eyes from the sun, trying to get a better view of the small band of soldiers coming across the plain. Her right hand grasped her sword a little tighter, and she reached down to pick up her shield. She paused, gazing at the round disc, her mind leaving the scene around her for a moment. "But my lord, these weapons look almost like a child's playthings," she had said hesitantly when she first saw her sword and shield. The king had looked at the young woman and smiled before answering. "There is one lesson you have yet to learn before you can achieve a victory. You will never be victorious on your own, and yet you can win every battle if you choose. But each victory must be won through the power of my might, not yours. That must be your battle cry in every encounter with the evil forces." The memory brought a brief smile to the young woman's face as she prepared for yet another battle. It seemed as if she had been fighting one battle after another with barely a break. She smiled again as she got a firm grip on her shield. The king had not told her that with every battle won, her weapons would become stronger instead of worn down. The blade of her double-edged sword seemed to grow sharper after each victory. The shield was now a massive piece of armor that had saved her life on more than one occasion, and she continued to grow in skill with both weapons. She glanced up. 3 formidable-looking men in full armor were closing in around her. The large rock behind her protected her back, and she was thankful for it. She checked her breastplate and braced herself for another battle. She had been tired and discouraged a few moments before. Now the memory of the lesson her master had taught her gave her new life. Her eyes shone with hope and determination as she readied herself to fight for the king and for her children. "I claim victory for the king! I fight you in the power of his might!" Holding her sword in front of her, the king's warrior quickly shattered the silence. Her attackers paused almost imperceptibly and then continued toward her silently. Next to break the silence came loud clashes of sword against sword and sword against shield. "You are all alone, fool! The king is far away, and his power cannot help you here. You are in our power." The large soldier in front of her smirked and attempted a thrust into her chest. "The king's power never leaves those who fight for him. Our very weapons are filled with his might." The young woman quickly deflected his blade and once again shouted, "The power of his might!" The battle was long and hard. Moving slowly from the east side of the meadow, the sun seemed to pause overhead and then began to slip down toward the west. The evil of the 3 large soldiers was almost tangible and seemed to thicken the air. The soldier to the young woman's right dropped back in a sudden change of strategy. She glanced at him momentarily and wondered if he was retreating from the battle. The man grinned viciously and began a verbal attack, making it hard for the champion of truth to concentrate on the battle. "The king has filled your weapons with the power of his own might? Do you really believe that? It's all lies. Lies he uses to bring people into his pitiful little kingdom. Have you ever seen any part of the kingdom he professes to reign over? He has tricked you, and now you will die because of your stupidity." He paused, and another malicious grin ran across his face as the young woman seemed to falter for a moment. His grin quickly turned to a disappointed scowl as he saw the king's warrior once again deflect a blade wielded by one of the soldiers of darkness. He had clearly hoped it would be the death blow. The evil soldier continued his bantering towards the young woman, never pausing for an answer. The soldier to the left seemed to grow tired, and the young woman started directing her efforts toward him. Immediately, the soldier that had been talking jumped back into the fight, allowing his tired partner a brief respite. Now the second soldier took up the mocking of the king and his soldiers. This pattern continued into the evening as the sun turned from its scorching yellow to a blaze of orange and began to sink behind the trees in the distant horizon. The young woman was at the point of exhaustion and didn't know how she could continue any longer. She had never fought so hard and long in her life, and these were most formidable foes. Her shield was getting too heavy for her, and she was getting slower with her sword. To give up was unthinkable, and yet, was there another option? The fact that she was fighting 2 soldiers instead of 3 did not make it any easier because the constant mocking confused her mind. The 3rd warrior chuckled as he watched the young woman struggling for her life. "She's not so sure of herself now, is she?" This he directed to his 2 companions, and they grinned as they continued the battle. "Look at her," the evil opponent continued. "She's not fighting for victory anymore. She's just trying to stay alive." His eyes glittered and he laughed. "You aren't going to win this victory, are you? You with your special kingly weapons. Those were just dreams, weak one. Nobody has ever been victorious over us. What makes you think you would be any different? The king's got no special interest in you. He never gave you his power." He chuckled again, deep, dark, and evil. But the large soldier made a mistake with his last statement. "The king's power," the young woman thought. "This isn't my battle. It's the king's." She felt new hope coursing through her veins. Her enemy's expressions quickly turned from cruel arrogance to dismay as the young woman once again shouted her battle cry, "By the power of his might!" They screamed curses at her, but she heeded them no longer as she continued to yell her battle cry. She fought with such a burst of strength that it was over before the sun could completely disappear. She slowly put her sword back in its scabbard and let the shield lean against the rock. Once again, she saw someone walking toward her across the plain. This time, she ran to kneel at the feet of her king. "Through the power of your might," she said softly. The king reached down and pulled her to her feet, holding her close in a fatherly embrace. "You have learned the lesson well, and so the victory was won. For no matter how alone you may feel, I am always close beside you, and you will always be victorious when you are strong through me and trust in the power of my might."